Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, record. Do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good evening to our viewers. My name is Nrm'S, and I am sitting here to take you through the Hotline Show today, the 9th February 2026. Gladly today, our two panelists happen to have participated in the NRA war, what many consider as a struggle. And as we look forward to receiving Mr. Joseph Ochieno from the UPC, these two, we are very key in fighting him. I mean, him as UPC. Eventually, Mr. Matovu Vianney left the likes of Honorable Awich Pollar in the things, and he jumped off the bus. But nonetheless, with me here tonight are Honorable Awich Pollar, a diplomat, but also a director at the Nrm Secretariat in charge of external affairs. Next to him is Mr. or rather retired Major Joseph Ngoma. Now he is the political commissar of the UPM, what many consider as a stagnant party. I don't know whether it is limping, but of course he will share with all of us how far it is, how far they have gone or what plans do they have. Tonight, we are trying to be as intentional as possible to dissect 40 years of Mr. Museveni and his team in power. And I am being intentional using Mr. Museveni and his colleagues in power, because if you say 40 years of NRM, it is historically wrong, because NRM as a political party started being in power in 2006 after the multi-party dispensation. So literally between 1986 and 2005, we were under the movement system. There are so many gentlemen and ladies that the moment you mention 40 years of NRM in power, they will take you heads on and say, look, national resistance movement started leading this country in 2005. So the other years, the rest of the people were there. And for some reason, legally, yes. Practically, I have an advocate here of High Court. It's a two-way. It's both legal and practically. These people have been in power for the 40 years. First, say hello to our viewers, sir, and then I ask Mr. Vianney Ngoma to also say hello. Then I take you through the technicalities of this entire discussion, sir.
Yes, hello viewers. Good evening. And always nice to be here with you on Monday to share the little that we have and to hear your views. We have always had your views back to us. That is the only democratic governance procedures this country can proceed. I also greet my colleague here who is here with me. and hope that the Congress will join us, the congressman will join us. Good evening. Please, let's enjoy the discussion.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Matovu, say hello to our viewers.
I welcome the viewers on this mighty big talk. And I'm glad to be honored to be given this chance to exchange my experience and what I saw.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Our viewers, I want to give you a very basic preamble for this entire discussion. It's a two-way, because close to a few weeks ago, we had NRM and literally the entire government celebrate 40 years of being in charge at Kololo airstrip. On 6th, this very month now, I mean February, we had the likes of Honorable Awich Pollar and some other senior and junior officers in the cupboard. At the time, they were celebrating 45 years of Tarehe Sita. Gladly, we're going to dissect this discussion based on two historical events. It's on record, which Honorable Awich Pollar will definitely confirm, that these two, with their commander-in-chief and others, captured Kampala on 25th. But because I think Honorable Awich Pollar and others are superstitional, they didn't want to swear on 25th because it's the day when Amin had captured power. So they pushed their victory and they are swearing in on 26th Jan, when the president was sworn in at Parliament. To remind all of us, on the 6th February, the same people, the same group of people attacked Kabamba, which history does not dispute is that they attacked a legitimate government at the time. That is of Obote, with of course so many accusations of having rigged the elections and the rest. But the rest is history. So we have 40 years of Mr. Museveni and his members in power. We have 45 years of the commemoration of the Kabamba attack, call it the Tarehe Sita, because Kabamba was attacked on 6th February. So I will ask our producer to play for us a very brief speech of the president that he gave on 26th Jan, and that will act as our springboard into our entire discussion. Yeah, definitely want to see what the president pledged and on whether they have lived that testimony. Okay, we seem to encounter some bit of a technical glitch, but we'll definitely come back to it. Honorable Awich Pollar, I may remind you of the basic statements, and of course we highlighted Mr. Museveni's words, where he said that that wasn't a mere change of guards, but rather a fundamental change. What has always been a talking point for so many opposition and other onlookers is to say that then Africa's problem was about leaders who overstay in power. Let's begin from there. Are we still living the fundamental change?
Thank you so much. But there's something which you mentioned which needs clarity in the minds of viewers. The issue of whether or not it is the same NRM who has been in power for 40 years or not. I could even extend to say, as we celebrate the 6th of February of NRA, whether it is the same NRA which is there or UPDF. Yeah, I think we need to make that clarification so that we move along together. Indeed, I start with NRM. On the 26th of
January,
NRM took over the reins of power through a constitutional procedure called Legal Notice Number 1 of 1986. This is basically a procedure under constitutional law which says that is a constitutional provision now to say power now has been wrestled from the hands of the previous government to the new government, and this is now the legitimate government. To the extent that if that government was sworn in the morning and in the evening you try to overthrow it, you'd be charged of treason, regardless of the fact that it was wrestled by force in the morning. That is the spirit under the constitutional law. And there's an Austrian professor who developed that, and the world accepted it. Now, therefore, in 86, when power was wrestled and given to NRM, it continued for a long time. Because the spirit then was that, why don't we be under one umbrella? Why would we be under political parties? Because Ugandans are not ready for this. Political parties need when the consciousness and the classes are being developed, so that people belong to parties according to their class. Why do we have it? Can we have a one system called the NRM, the movement system, where everybody would continue? It was good, it was nice, it was good. Even if you had to have elections, you would have elections under the movement. But somewhere along the road, people said, like the likes of Cecilia Gual, they said, but you're saying we're under your movement, but you're forcing us. They use the term conscription. There you are conscripting us by force. For us, we don't want to be in that movement. So the voices tended to be heard by many cadres, the likes of Bidandi Saleh, who said, but colleagues, comrades, we're saying this thing is good, but there are people who are saying we are forcing them. Why don't we hold a referendum? If we think our thing is so good, people vote. Should we continue under this or not? So a referendum was held and people decided we go multi-party. This is now which brings a discontinuity or the continuity of NRM. Then the constitution then was saying, the constitution was providing for three systems: a movement political system, a multi-party political system, and any other democratic. So now that people had chosen the multi-party, the law says the other one should be in abeyance, not just, but just be quiet. Therefore, it now required that NRM now forms itself into a political party. That is when now the NRM then registered. I was by then a director, I mean not a director, I was a legal officer under the then legal department. Of movement. Yes, of movement. So we are the ones who drafted the constitution. When we drafted the constitution, we registered NRM now as a party. Now, that is where now people say, this is another NRM. But basically, it was a change or an appearance to meet the constitutional legal limit of multi-party. In other words, we just said, open up and let those people be free to go back to their party. We continue. We organize ourselves. We continue. Something. So you can therefore argue that it's the same NRM. Therefore, right to celebrate 40 years. It is the same NRM. Only that the other movement, which was for everybody, it released some people to go and now consolidated itself into NRM, registered as a political organization, and continue. The other one was not registered. The other one was by legal notice. Honorable, in a second, I think for some reason, people who are opposed to your theory are some NRM people, and they avoid that theory. When you say you have been here for 40 years, they say, look, the first 10, we were with you guys, we were with the Semogerere, we are with the, I mean, so for avoidance of being held accountable for some of the deeds. So that's why I think for some reason they push it away and say, no, look, the first 10, we were not NRM, we were simply movement and we had all of you. So, but you can proceed. No, but even and you defend your 40 years. And even if you said we are not NRM, the other movement, only that the N is silent. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The N is there. There was nothing like a movement from, it was National Resistance Movement. Even if you call it a movement, the NR was there.
Yeah, definitely.
quiet. There was not just a vacuum of a movement. Okay, so I think I've explained the fact that the movement simply
From
released those who said they are non-movement, and the movement continued. Okay, and that is why it celebrates all this.
The 40 years.
Now, otherwise, we'd be celebrating from
2005.
Yes. Now, I think I've explained. Now, for the case of the NRA, you also hear voices saying NRA is now 45 years. But then you'd ask, but there's no NRA. The same thing is that during the constitution making, voices were saying, okay, you are National Resistance Army, what are you still resisting now? No. If the spirit was you were resisting but you are pro-people army, then change it to Uganda People's Defense Forces. And it quickly got to be accepted. It was actually an amendment by late Mayombo to amend to put it in like that in the Constitution. And of course, borrowing from our neighbor Tanzania has maintained that nomenclature that if it is a national army, let it be a people's army. So we accepted that. But basically, it is still the same NRA. So I think I've explained that. Now, this comes to your question of
fundamental change.
A fundamental change. Yes. You see, a fundamental change, first of all, you start from change of guards. Because the president said this is not a change of guards. This is a fundamental change. Now, what is a change of guards? For those who may not be aware, guards is a military term or a security term used for those who do protection services. For example, you can have a guard in somebody's home, like a minister, a guard who are guarding the minister's home. Remember, these guards need to bathe, need to eat, need to change their clothes. So there's always a routine way of changing these guards, even at the gate.
But the master stays.
Even at the gate, the master stays, but also the task, the mission to offer protection to the minister, or to be at the gate to make sure no wrong people enter the gate. But you keep changing the guards. Same mission, same objective. So it was from this analogy that the president was saying, we are not just changing guards with the same. He's saying we are going to completely transform the country. And indeed, it worked. So the change of guards, for example, at that time, the most important thing was to dismantle the state machinery. Dismantling the state machinery, the gist of the state machinery was the military, the army. Dismantle it, put a pro-people army. The other army was completely anti-people. For example, it was known that at roadblocks were many. And at roadblocks, it was normal for the soldiers to order people that identity card kwa mkono moja, pesa kwa mkono. And the whole line would be like from here to 100 meters, a full bus or two buses, everybody lining like this. And no newspaper, nothing would even write. It was normal. Please, musururu, identity card kwa mkono moja, pesa kwa mkono. Well, people would line up. It was not common for soldiers to be told, if you're asking for the salary, which salary? Don't you have a gun? You're asking for salary. Don't you have a gun? And you'd go loot, and that is okay. There are many soldiers in Kampala who were staying there without salary, but they had their guns, so they would loot. Then there were others like Fande would just send you. I know of a major who died, unfortunately, who would go to Nakasero market by then and order his soldiers. I want 50 kilos of sugar, 20 kilos of salt, a box of soap, and all this. And then the escort would say, Fande, where is the money? You're asking me money. Don't you have your gun? Go and bring me things. And the soldiers would smartly go to the shop. Even the shop owner would be happy.
That they didn't kill him.
They didn't kill him, but at least they have taken. And so on and so forth. I talked to one recently. He was a captain who told me that for them, whenever a soldier would die, even of sickness, they would go and loot civilians, whether old Gomasi or what, then they would give to the relative that this is what the late left. that this is what the left. So a fundamental change in this case meant dismantling the state apparatus, and the state apparatus was the military, the intelligence. Start anew, start a pro-people army, and that is what by then NRA, any antagonism with the wananchi, like murder or anything, would quickly earn you a firing squad. You'd be tied on the tree and shot, killed. And NRA became a disciplined army. It was, as we used to call it, it was like a group of nuns, but fighting like warriors, like lions. So that is it. The other thing was, the fundamental change was the economic welfare of the people. At that time, even mere beer now used to be allocated. Kitgum district, 400 crates. Bushenyi, it's 600 crates. As if it is for free and yet for buying. Okay? Sugar was not there. Salt was not there. Nothing. So now, one of the fundamental things was to have goods and services available. And therefore, it is there as now. To the extent that now beer, instead of allocating per district, you now have to advertise, even sponsor football for your beer to be bought. Nile Breweries or Bell, sponsor football for people to buy your beers. In the past, it was not. Sugar, salt, forget about it. Maybe some people even can't believe that in life there could be no salt. Like a whole district like Bushenyi, you move around, even the rich are eating food without salt. Some people think you're telling stories, but it existed, and this is a change. And so on and so forth. So the economic aspect, I started with the security aspect, with the economic aspect, with the, in the educational aspect. It was not uncommon that you could get 3 A's, I mean 3 principal passes. Even if you put it at E, or D, you get your 3 principal passes. But you wouldn't go to a university because Makerere was the only university. And yet the requirement is whoever gets 2 principal passes. But now everybody is going to universities because you meet the requirement. It wasn't. It was so competitive. I even tested a bit of it because I entered Makerere when it was still the only one. Many people would get all principal passes, all. Even if you sit for 4 subjects, you get all principal passes, but you still can't go to university. As if, and you would be considered you have failed. I failed when I meet the requirement. Just because you have kept to one university. So, health. People now, by then the life expectancy was 43 years. Averagely 43 years you are finished, you should die. If you are living 44, you are now borrowing years from this one who died yesterday. Now it has moved to 67. Life expectancy now, 67 years. So, and so on and so forth. So, this is now what we are calling a fundamental change. That is not a change of guards, where guards are put at the gate with the same briefing. Let no wrong person enter this gate. That is Kopolo Kirot, Kopolo Tumwesije. Tomorrow you bring Kopolo Pio and Kopolo Karanga, still the same brief.
But now we have one Kopolo. Okay, if you use the metaphor you're using,
so,
the same
yes.
Kopolo.
So it wasn't a change of guards. It was a fundamental change. That we are changing and changing the content. We are not only changing the form, we are changing the content, and it has been achieved.
I want you to, with the due honesty, you mentioned now UPDF being a pure pro-people army. Would you still consider it being a pro-people army?
With all honesty, everything I've been saying with honesty. Do I have selective honesty now? Do I have selective honesty?
Add more honesty onto this.
Do I have selective honesty? That now I'm honest, the other time I'm not.
There is honesty.
I don't have selective honesty.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have selective honesty. Now,
given some incidents,
you see, the army is 60,000 people or more.
Yeah.
And controlling 60,000 people is not easy. And that is why even in NRA, we put people on firing squad. Because even if you state the positions, some will deviate.
Yeah.
Now, UPDF has still remained the People's Army, by far. Not long ago, if you put two roadblocks, one side for police, one side for the army, and you ask the civilian, do you
Which
want
route?
to go for this or this? They'll tell you, I want to go for the army. Let me at least pass through the army roadblock. It's not like the police. Police will get out of me something like you've broken this law, your shoes are not okay, or whatever it is, but the army will not. So, overall, UPDF is good, is perfect. But what I was saying is, you do not judge a country by case. Even when we go to UN and they're assessing Uganda, a country is judged by institutional framework, because you don't do case by case. For example, army being an institution, how do you judge whether it is good or not? You judge it by institutional framework. What are the laws governing? Are those who slide away punishable? Are they punished? Do they have checks and balance in the army? And this is there. To the extent that there's counterintelligence in the army, the army code of conduct is very strict and it is enforced. Many people have been sentenced, including the alleged shooting in Kampala, which they said so many people were killed. One soldier was sentenced to death, one was sentenced to about 8 years in prison.
The recent one of
2021.
Okay.
Yes. So, and still up to now, there's an open-ended statement that if you saw a couple, an ex-couple or sergeant who killed, and you have evidence, bring, we shall still prosecute. So that is it. So an army is not judged by incidences. An army is judged by institutional framework. And for example, one overarching institutional framework for the country is, in the past when a soldier or a police breaks your leg and you sue that police, it will deny personal liability. It will say, sue Attorney General, I was not doing my father's work.
Okay.
But now, the law, the human rights enforcement is saying, you are going for operation.
Yeah.
Be reckless, you'll be personally liable. So we judge it by institutional framework. But by far, UPDF is a good army, still with the spirit of NRM. It has done 8 operations around the world, around Africa, successfully. The military capability is good, the discipline is good, internally it is built with political commissars. Political commissars are like him, they're supposed to check the excesses of the army. The army is doing the fighting, but the political commissars are supposed to check the wrong.
Okay, I don't want to preempt your likely answer because you may not be, on this very question, you may not be as honest. Do you?
I'm always honest.
Okay. No, on this particular one, I'm about to give you.
Ask, you ask, I'm always
Do you,
honest.
at some point, accept that UPDF has untouchables?
I don't think. Who is untouchable?
Okay.
The army has rules and regulations. It has chain of command. From the commander-in-chief, unless you're telling me the commander-in-chief who is untouchable. Because the commander-in-chief is a commander-in-chief, is definitely, that one I will give the exception to the rule. Because the law even says...
Until
that,
he's...
yes, the law even says, even for example, you can't take him to court.
Yeah, definitely.
In the worst case scenario, even if it meant a family matter like
even if it was a divorce.
even if it was divorce, you can't take him. The best you can do to a head of state is to sign a separation agreement.
Yeah, sure.
And an agreement, by definition, is a will between two parties. You can't take. So there's the NRM is a discipline army with nothing.
Okay.
Except the commander-in-chief who follow the law. The army follows the law.
There is a four-star general, CDF in particular, and so many people have come out to say he's untouchable given what he tweets. But because I started with a disclaimer that you may not be in a position to give us an honest answer, I wanted to ask.
I've given you an honest one. But I've given you an honest one.
No, wait a second.
I've given you an honest one.
Being a diplomat and also being a government official, and not with a prejudice, have you heard of people say that the CDF is untouchable.
I have heard.
What is your view?
My view is that they are wrong.
He's touchable.
Yes,
Okay.
he's governed by the law of the army.
So he's touchable.
As he told you, he's untouchable.
Okay, he hasn't told me.
The only untouchable, I'm telling you, is by under the law, is a commander-in-chief. Because the constitution gives the president immunity.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to accuse or hold somebody untouchable, it is your views, it is hearsay. Because for me to say somebody is untouchable, I am an advocate. I must cite provision that make him untouchable. And that's why I'm citing for you the presidential constitutional provision which makes the president untouchable. You can't sue him. You can't sue him.
Yeah.
Even in civil matters, even in criminal matters.
Only for
for those who have been saying so and so is untouchable, it is their views. They are the ones promoting Rugam.
Your view is untouchable. Because,
because what do I have to say to say Mr. X is not untouchable? Can I cite a provision of the law which has given him immunity?
Maybe
I can't.
Maybe the
if I can't cite a provision of the law that gives him immunity, then who am I to say is untouchable?
Maybe the law is one thing, and what is on
Rugam
ground
is another.
No, what's on ground? Because
so if the law is one thing, the other one
would
Rugam.
ask if indeed the UPDF is in its structure.
So you want us to abandon the law and choose Rugam?
Okay, let me proceed to Mr. Joseph Ngoma. I think just begin from there. First of all, you are an ex-serviceman under NRA and of course under UPDF. I'm sure you retired after the NRA had become a UPDF. First of all, is what took you to the bush worth celebrating? Is it what is happening in this country? And then we shall come back to the touchables and untouchables.
Now, from what is on the floor, the fallacy was when they changed constitutionally, the name being People's Defense
Forces, yeah.
The character will be
people,
citizens, not knowing that what was incredulously pointed to others will at one time change to others disciplinary. Now, at first, open criticism was nice and has kept the movement to move. But when it changed to be terrorism, when it changed to be cyber crime, when it changed to be annoying some people and becoming a charge, then others were called disgruntled. Even reports were there, disgruntled so and so. When they reached on the table of disagreement in the legislative arm in the parliament, we came with rebel MPs.
Having disagreed from within.
Therefore harming fundamentalism. Then when we were registering parties by opening up the space, that's how they called it, they came with parliamentary directive, which was a law, saying that the incumbent president shouldn't register. Let others register. For himself, he will decide where to subscribe from. So they registered. Then they came. Then what is now in the Tarehista vis-a-vis and versus NRA UPDF, they don't consult the source. Take an example. That of from Mbarara to Kabale Kisoro, it was Karuhanga Brigade. But now...
What do you mean Karuhanga Brigade?
It was called Karuhanga Brigade because Karuhanga...
The second division. The second division.
Which year was this?
When Levi Karuhanga was the commandant.
1979.
Oh, okay.
Because when you go there to celebrate...
Another Karuhanga, not Brigadier Levi Karuhanga.
This one is a recent
yeah,
one.
Because I was wondering, okay.
The Levi Karuhanga is a recent one. That Karuhanga was put on firing squad at Boma ground in Imbarara.
Having been against Amin.
Against Amin.
Yeah.
Then they decided to call that front
Karuhanga Brigade.
It was formed by now the commander-in-chief. Then it was given by Brigadier General Bosco Omure to command it, deputized by Brigadier General Jaseka Munanwire. Then it would be better to go with those to show you that here this took place, this took place, this took place. And they unveiled now, because there is a logo of Engineering Brigade, UPDF, the coat of arms, and that of UPDF. There is no that of Fronasa. And then below, there is unveiling that of Fronasa. That's where the staggerment of misconception and deceptions arose. The bandwagon. In the military they have, and history, they have what they call the bandwagon. When you come with the discipline of the law, you change the bandwagon. Now, the law favors most UPDF. It is like now, this comrade of mine, when the National Organizing Committee is not at fair play with him, what we call loggerheads, wherever he is fit to be on any function, he will not be allowed, because he needs an invitation from them. That's what should be checked to maintain and sustain and uphold fundamentalism. When you bring an issue without assigning it to a body to oversee and regulate it, it can fail to operate and work. Because that fundamentalism is there, but being supervised, upholding, and sustained by who? Where is the body?
Do you have doubt in the structure of your PDF in regards to supervising and ensuring that the institution works and follows the law?
I have a fundamental doubt as we were
vis-a-vis the fundamental change.
As we were handling that one, because there is at times, this one no most, because he's always with them. There is where you can bring a story. They respond back that one for us we don't know. Moreover, we were very young. We were not there. And we made a mistake to knock out fundamentalism by not documenting and packaging these things to be taught. You know the reason why colonialism has lived longer here. Their books are being taught on our syllabus. Ours is not on the syllabus. You take an example, we have two. We have that of Chankwanzi, we have that of patriotism.
Among the leadership school?
Yes, among the syllabus there, that of showing us how this comrade went through the struggle up to date, it is not there. They can even study Fazih Fanon by the rest of the earth, leaving those who were there. So they don't know. When you move by people who doesn't know, you know science is dangerous. Science does not discuss with ignorance. It is like law. Law is science.
With facts.
Without any clue, you cannot argue it. You will need time. As you see them staggering in courts, Give me time to peruse.
Adjournment.
A single paper called a charge sheet in criminal law. They read a charge sheet, a prosecutor needs time to read that, to peruse that charge sheet, or even weeks and months. So by the time when we were changing all these things, as per the elaborate was given here on the floor, we were confronted by two things. One was a judicial panic, because laws by then were from the office of the president called statutes, and not allowing others to contribute, because there were no select committees, there were no commissions of parliament and the like. So we were confronted by the judicial panic.
Are we talking about between 1986
and the job panic, 86
to 1995?
Okay. Then when we were confronted by those, the job panics, the judicial panics, and others were complaining that they are being excluded, then politics of accommodation arose. The question was, how will it be introduced to the public and the civil service? They came by the promulgation of the law. Then the promulgation of the Constitution took over and changed and threw out very many. So you can't get what is called 10 points program within the enshrines of the current law, called the law of the land. Then that of mentioning and bringing in the fundamental change is not there. It comes by bill. It is the ministry which can bring a bill and the other papers in the parliament. So at many occasions you find them in the parliament debating their survival, how to increase emoluments, salaries, vehicles. You take what has happened now. This is the parliament of a sitting government within the muscle embedded in the fundamentalism. The parliament of 12th parliament has not been sworn in, but this 11th parliament is pressurizing the 12th parliament to be corrupt. They are forcing them to get 300 plus.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe Honorable Awich will have to clarify, in fact, not even simply to clarify, but perhaps to give the legal opinion. It may not be so binding about this outgoing parliament budgeting for the following parliament, also setting because you saw the budget committee passing
when you bring the legal
the budget
opinion,
committee sat and said parliamentarians were worth 300 also million for your vehicle.
When you bring a legal opinion, it will also take him, because with law, how it is.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Law as is, not as it ought to be.
Yes, by his legal opinion, they are right.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because the
we cannot run a country minus a budget, so they must give us a budget. Which budget they have to add in, what is going to cater for.
View outside the law, they are equally wrong. Because now they are scheming for these ones, because they were not aware.
So with a peasant's opinion,
yes,
they are wrong.
They are
legally,
wrong.
They are witches are right.
It's very right. Okay. Because they are within the confines. That's what they say. In the provisions, it is provided for. When it is provided for, you must take.
They highlighted they want comfort, as they do.
And now, this is what will hit fundamentalism versus the law, the current law. We don't treat it with personalities, we treat it with the law. Now legislature versus fundamentalism. Now Awich has his own ideals and ideology, moving on foot from where he was to Kampala. But the law now is negating them, because that question of qualifications, when we were on foot, it was not there. What was there was popular struggle. After reaching, then the popular struggle was seen to outcompete them. Then others to have a safe landing, qualifications, and others policing themselves, they started with an abusive word, saying that this one is with more integrity. This one is without integrity. Therefore, is not fit to be here. When you are chasing me in leadership by integrity and qualifications, I am not even fit to live in Uganda. But what is making them fail? They don't have a law to kill me and make me be away and do away with me. That's what they have failed. If they have that law to kill those who doesn't know how to read and write, they can. Let's go to untouchables.
Yeah, of course, yeah, untouchables. Do
The
you think UPDF has
untouchable-
untouchables and none?
That syndrome comes by the eyes. In Banyankore, they have that saying that you fear the eyes. When you eye Awich Pollar, they mean literally meaning when I eye Comrade Awich Pollar, I must see the background is from who. When I realize that is from my senior, whether he's wrong or right, I'm not supposed to intervene. So that's what is causing others untouchable, others touchable.
So unlike
others
Honorable Awich Pollar, you seem to suggest that UPDF has untouchables.
they are there.
Is there a specific chua?
You name them.
The specific
Do you have specifics? Do you have specific names that you think, in your view? Because for me, I highlighted General MK here, and I was trying to ask Honorable Awich Pollar that under normal circumstances, is it okay for a CDF, a serving CDF general, making his tweets, and it is taken as normal? And to some people are like, no, this gentleman is untouchable because he is the only person. And I'll give you precedents. I'll give you General Tumukunde on CBS. What he said and what he achieved as consequences. I'll give you General Sejusa, what he said and what he achieved as consequences. So how special, okay, how touchable is General MK? And it's a question rather that Honorable Awich said, to him, it's a rumor. To you, is it a rumor? Is he touchable or untouchable?
It's not a rumor.
It's a fact.
Let us tackle it with the current law. The UPDF Act spells out that UPDF, you do only UPDF work. Now, this is with an organization called PLU, is the leader of PLU. PLU went and made an agreement with the office of Comrade Awich Pollar.
NRM.
His is a political party, but PLU went
As just a mere movement.
and
like,
made a memorandum of understanding to do politicking,
who's chairperson?
which is outside
The law.
UPDF Act. That one, we can tackle that one alone, can give us a ray of where things fall. Because the enshriners of the act stipulates that you are not allowed to do activities of partisanship. This is a body making a memorandum of understanding with a political party. That is enough spelling out.
To show that someone is untouchable.
Yes. And that is not of our make, so that they will come for us that we have said it. We are not the ones who convinced them that they put them on the press. For us, we ran it on the press. We were not.
But as we get close to like a minute also to have a short break and then come back to Honorable Awich. Of course, I am reliably informed that also our other comrade, the Congress, man of the people, yeah, he's just coming in. As a senior citizen, but most importantly, as someone who served in UPDF, NRA and UPDF, now a political commissar of UPM, the mother party literally for NRM. Have you taken any steps to write to the powers that be that, look, your son, even if he wasn't his son, the CDF's conduct is unbecoming of the fundamental change that we fought for?
Those of writing letters
They no
may
longer
be classified.
Okay.
There are some of the letters which are informative.
No.
There are those which are formative.
No, my question, have you written?
There
Have
are
you written?
those
Have you written? Have you made any efforts to write?
I'm coming.
You have a minute
There
to
are
go to
those
break and
who we have written.
okay.
Mine
What is the
was practical.
what was the response?
Was suggesting that there should be a historical council. And that historical council should be empowered, that the president, when he cites and other public servants anything negative, reports too. Now the commander-in-chief, others are pinpointing him, but they are pinpointing him for nothing. When you are alone and you fight with everybody, you get problems.
Is he alone?
Yes. Now the law,
He's here. We have Honorable Awich and others who support him. His support staff.
These ones are not part of this, because the executive there and the commander-in-chief, the law in place, left it for him either to do his best.
Okay.
He has no a body. You see, these Americans, for them, what saves them, the court is allowed to check the president. And there is other bodies which can check the president.
How is it here?
Even the party. Now we need to have, this is why you see we can disagree on minor issues and they grow to major issues, because we don't have who can summon us and reconcile.
Okay.
This is why you see Mugisamuntu, the Besigis, and versus others cannot be settled, because there is no a body to summon them and sit and overrule them on the conduct and make them remember what they agreed. Because when I'm talking to this brother of mine, I can, if it is not this so, when we are outside in our press, I can say, do you remember this time, given moment here, what we said, what we agreed? But here it can't come. And the law chased us from addressing the president, the current president, as we were used to. Because the law brought the first lady to him. When I am with him, I cannot bring the other.
You can't remind. Why do you want to remind someone of your?
I cannot bring the other open criticism, while those people who will go at home and say, you were embarrassed here. I have to keep quiet and surrender.
Okay, let's go. Our viewers, shortly we're coming back. Let's just break so shortly. A few seconds we'll be back with Mr. Joseph Ochieno. He's finally made it here. Just don't go away. Continue sharing the link of our show, and then we come back shortly.